Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick market update. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsible. Let's play Told You So. Once a week we take a look at an old video. It's not financial advice. I'm not your advisor, no. I just want you to see the TA is fucking awesome. Alright, so today we're going to take a look at our video from April 5th, and we're actually taking a look at the Dow Jones in this video. So the Dow as well. And then as far as the Dow on the weekly, basically exact same thing. We bounced off of that key support. Okay, we bounced the support at the 0.5 and the support, got the move directly back up to the 382. So we bounced directly from the 0 past the 236 to the 382, and the 382 corresponded perfectly with the channel that we had been moving in, and we had initially got like basically the slingshot move, like the throw over here. We stab up to a new high and then immediately sell back off, come back out of the channel, blow out of it, and then we're going to come back up and see if we can switch that, or see if that's going to flip over from support to resistance, which, you know, based on the move back down immediately to the 236, we got a 2 fib level move up and then one back down. So what I would expect at this point in time, you see I had the arrow drawn out there, was that move down here and then potentially 2 more levels up. So we could potentially get up as high as like the 2384 range, or even if we could break back into here and get back up to the 618, 25268. Now it is possible right now that we just continue to sell off and go to lower prices, but you know, I'm not necessarily convinced that that's what's going to happen. I think there's a possibility that we did find support right here and we're going to bounce it to the upside. And again, I have these drawn more in like a bullish retracement pattern. You know, it is possible that that was the entire bounce back up and then we immediately sell back off to either retest the low, put in a double bottom, or, you know, like a higher low. But I'm not convinced that these markets are just ready to turn around or anything. Alright, so basically, as you can see, that video was right here when we were retesting the breakdown from our purple channel right here. And, you know, obviously the way the arrows play out there, you could see the next move was up to the 236 and then back down to the bottom of the channel. And then, you know, I would expect at this point in time, you know, to get a continued move back up here, you know, to play out. And to tell you the truth, I actually had to redraw this slightly, and I think it's just a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly what I changed, but it's not perfect, I can see, obviously. But that was basically just us coming up here, retesting the purple channel, and then selling back off. At which point in time, you know, you see here what I was expecting to happen was us to get that move back up to the heart line and the 618. And that's where it's like just slightly different. I think I may have changed like the angle of the channel just a little bit when I redrew it. I don't know, but again, it's not really that important. The idea is still the same regardless, that essentially like we got the exact move. You know, once we broke down out of this, we would expect to get the retest and then come down and find support. You know, and then if you find support on the next fib level, you would expect us to get the move up potentially like 2 fib levels. So at this point in time, you know, we have essentially gotten the move all the way back to the 236 right here, and essentially like fulfilled that algorithm. Now, is it possible that we continue back up and meet one of these other fibs? Of course. I mean, I think it's very likely that we could push back up here and still get as high as like the 786, coming in at like 27,000. You know, but we'll see. You know, this is not financial advice. I don't want to you know, start throwing like fundamentals in with the technicals and all that stuff, but I think it's very likely that you know, the potential like Cold War, trade war, like deglobalization, nationalization of basically the world and world economies and countries' economies right now is going to potentially lead to you know, like another catastrophic drop or sell-off or dump or capitulation or whatever you want to call it. So but again, that's mixing in like, you know, fundamentals and technicals. Now, based on technicals alone, is it likely that we would just like all of a sudden you know, sell off here and
you know, that was like basically our retracement. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Man, I wish it would have saved my chart so I would have it exactly the same. I believe I had it drawn a little more like this in that video. That looks a little more realistic. So we haven't quite made it up to that yet, but yeah, I mean, again, it's not that big of a deal. You know, the semantics and stuff like that are not that important. It's about like seeing the actual moves coming and everything. And as you can see here on the weekly, you know, obviously TJD, TDMACD absolutely crushed this move because you know you don't have to buy the absolute bottom here. You just buy into the strength. You know what I mean? So you're essentially like getting into the strength. And same here. You know, you're getting into the strength. So now you're getting the buy now on the weekly time frame, but you know that's going to give you like essentially like moves that last for years. So you could potentially have like a massive correction back down here and retest the lows before even, you know, retesting the highs, you know, which is more likely at this point in time, I think, based on like technicals and like the, you know, the volume and everything of the move so far. But you know, it's it's not a good bet necessarily to bet against the Federal Reserve and you know, those that are powerful, because they're going to do whatever they can to remain in power as long as they can. So but there we have it. I just wanted to do a little recap. At this point in time, you know, you hit the center of the channel, come to the top. I mean, you're at the top of the channel. All right, let's do it this way. Bottom to top, middle, middle, top, middle, bottom. Okay? Middle, top, middle, breaks out the top, middle, bottom, breaks out the bottom, comes back to the bottom, goes back to the middle. So what's the most likely thing that's going to happen right now? What's the most likely thing that's going to happen right now? If I had to straight up tell you what I thought was going to happen from here, we're going to max out at some point in time, you know, in the near future here, and then we're going to get that sell-off back down over here. You know, if the bearish scenario plays out, obviously. And if it's the opposite scenario, we're just going to get that same move, but we're just going to get it to the top. So, I mean, all I'm saying is we're just essentially, we're at the middle now, and based on probability and likelihood and what's been happening, like, the most likely thing that's going to happen is we're either going to retest the bottom now and make sure we have support, or we're going to retest the top and see if that's still resistance or if we're going to new higher prices. But then from that, what's the most likely thing to happen after that? I don't even have to tell you because you already know. I don't have to tell you because you already know. Oh, whoops. So much stuff to grab. Look, we're either going to come back down and retest there, or come back up and retest there. I mean, that's my honest to God, if I was just going to lay it out based on, you know, straight up what's most likely to happen. Not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. But it looks very high probability that one of those two things is going to happen. And right now, the momentum is to the upside in a very long-term uptrend after a massive sell-off. So any one of these potential fib areas could be a reversal for sure. But, you know, you're betting against a very, very powerful trend. I mean, that's a very clear uptrend. But now really, really zooming out, this is what you have to be careful for. Typically, to validate a Fibonacci sell-off to call like a high and then, you know, fib to the next level, what will typically happen is your initial sell-off will come down to the 236 here, and that validates that this was in fact like a valid swing high, and now the Fibonacci is like useful to you. So what you would expect to happen at this point in time is once you find support, a bounce back up and put in a lower high than this right here. So somewhere lower than our previous high, we would expect this to come up and get rejected and then sell back off, at which point in time we would then retest either the 236 inside of this micro right here or the 236 in blue right here for support, or we would test back up to the top and try to come all the way back up and test the top of the channel here, or the last Fibonacci node that's relevant, the 886, because if we go higher than the 886 in orange, we've essentially broken out to the upside and put in all-time highs, and then, you know, the fibs don't matter anymore, Well, I mean, they do, but not relevant like the blue one. So essentially, that's our two, options right now. We're essentially either going to come back up here, test at the 886 or somewhere in between, and then get rejected, or we're going to break out to the upside. Or if we get rejected right here and don't even make it any higher, we're going to come back down and we're going to test this low and see if we can put in a higher low. So the most important thing we're looking to see right now is, are we going to put in a lower high right here, or are we going to break back up to the upside? Are we going to sell back off eventually, and are we going to put in a lower low right here, or are we going to break back up to upside after putting in a higher low? That's the most important thing to look at. Now, if you're going to look at this and look at what's the retracement, the bullish retracement of this entire massive move in blue right here, a bullish retracement is essentially anywhere from the 382 to like the 618. So in all reality, if this really was the top of this long trending trade based not on fundamentals, the Fed printing money, all that stuff, but based on actual technicals of the chart and just using Fibonacci and not paying attention to what market this is or the relevancy, if this was going to sell back off here, the next level that we would retest after the 236 would be the 382, which is 16,411. And then you have your 0.5, which is down here at 13,700, and then you have your 618, which is down here at 11,521. And you'll see the relevance of these levels as we stair-stepped our way up here, which gives you an idea that these Fibonacci's really are algorithm based, and that the bots and algos are like moving this market the entire time with specific targets and like ideas in mind for these things to top out at. Because if you like take this same Fibonacci and you move it down here to like the previous top right here, it's going to line up with some stuff. You know what I mean? See how that lines up right there at the 382? But this happens before the top does. So that's why you can use like fib extensions to essentially like predict moves before they happen. Like the 1 point. I'm going to do this really quick. Actually, I'm not even going to get into it in this video. We'll do a different video on it another time. But essentially, that's it for the Dow Jones Industrial Average Crypto Trend Trader with a quick little recap. And, if you're new to the channel or you enjoy the content but you haven't yet, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. And also check out my free indicators on TradingView. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.